We welcome Lady Colin Campbell and Phil Dampier for tonight's Royal Dispatch. An explosive new biography has revealed that the late Queen was as angry as staff had ever seen her after Harry and Meghan claimed that she had supported their decision to name their daughter Lilibet. So Queen Elizabeth II was affectionately known as Lilibet by a select handful of her closest friends and family, most notably her husband Prince Philip, before the Sussexes chose to name for their second-born child back in 2021. But in Robert Hardman's new biography, Charles III, New King, New Court, Palace insiders unveil how the Queen was left stunned by the suggestion that she had been supportive of this decision. Instead, he's described as angry. She's reported to have told staff, "I don't own the palaces, I don't own the paintings, the only thing I own is my name, and now they've taken that." Well, Lady C, you were told at the time that the Queen was furious over the Sussexes' decision to name their daughter Lilibet, weren't you? I mean, do you think that Harry and Meghan lied when they said that she'd been supportive?
Well, I think they had to have lied because, as I said at the time, my information was that Harry asked her if he could name his daughter after her, and she thought the name was going to be Elizabeth. And it came as a great shock to her to discover that not only had he gone behind her back and named the child Lilibet, but that he had registered the birth in such a way that it was not possible for the name to be changed. So she had to swallow it, so to speak.
OK. Phil, what do you make of this? I mean, is it actually a massive deal? Is it not, you know, quite cute, I suppose, they've named it after me? Have they deliberately mugged the Queen off here? What do you make of it?
Yeah, good evening, Patrick. I just think it's very, very sad to learn, isn't it, that in the final few months of her life, this amazing woman, this incredible reign she had, that she was undergoing this heartache to the extent where she became so angry that Aide say they'd never seen her angrier. I think Lady C's probably right. I think he probably tricked her. He said that he asked could he call her after her, and she probably thought that meant it was Elizabeth. And then by the time she found out it was Lilibet, it was all too late, and it was a fait accompli. But I see that our old friend Omid Scobie's got in on the act today. He tweeted earlier that these revelations about the Queen weren't showing her in a very good light. I mean, only he could twist that round to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that Omid Scobie is in any way qualified to pass judgment on arguably the greatest ever person that this country has ever produced is ridiculous. But further revelations in Hardman's book include the palace fears that Prince Harry will write a sequel to Spare. Lady C, I'll get your views on this. Apparently bits about his wedding were not covered in the original publication. Is this true? Isn't it I mean, surely he can't just keep, you know, trotting out this rubbish, can he?
Well, I mean, he can do anything he wants. It's a free country, and so is America. But the fact of the matter is, I have been told that Meghan is the one who is going to be writing a book, and that amid scabies set up the situation for her to name the King and the Princess of Wales, and that the book isn't going to be written by Harry, it's going to be written by Meghan. But the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, everybody's so turned off by them and their constant antics and lies that I don't think people are going to buy the book, in much the same way that nobody has bought Endgame. I mean, it's tanked in the most appalling way. And I suspect any book she writes is going to tank as well. And if it doesn't, her reputation is certainly going to tank with it.
Yeah, OK. Phil, what do you think about this idea of there being a sequel to Spare?
Well, we've had, as Lady C says, we've had Finding Freedom, haven't we? We've had Endgame, which were both written by Scobie, and we've also had Spare. Now, he definitely left quite a few chunks out of Spare, things that he could talk about, and there's whole chunks of things that he hasn't yet referred to. But I think Lady C's right. It might well be done through Meghan, so that might be the way that they do it. You know, but whichever way you look at it, this is something that's been hanging over the royal family and is probably one of the main barriers to any kind of reconciliation, because the King and William and Kate will just be worried that anything they say, any communications, any long distance phone calls will end up in a new book. That is the big problem. They just don't trust him.
Well, we actually did reach out to Archwell for comment on that Lilibet story we're hearing about. They've failed to respond. But over in the States, Prince Harry is facing a backlash from US pilots over plans to induct him as a living legend of aviation, which is remarkable, isn't it? Harry will be honoured for his, quote, significant contribution to aviation and aerospace at a glitzy Hollywood ceremony hosted by John Travolta, celebrating his time flying military aircraft in Afghanistan. But a petition for Harry to hand back the award has so far gained more than 11,000 signatures, many describing his inclusion as a joke. Phil, I'll start with you on this. Should the Duke hand back the award out of respect for genuine military heroes?
Of course, he should. If he's got any decency, he should hold it back. I mean, hand it back. I mean, the idea that he should be put in the same category as people like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Top Gun people is ridiculous, you know. And the fact is that when he was in the armed forces, he always said that one of the big things he liked about it was the fact that he was treated as a normal person. So, yeah, you know, you can't take it away from him. He put his life on the line. He did his service, but it was no different from a lot of other people, and they're not being recognised. So why should he?
All right, and finally, Lady C, just to you on that. I mean, what do you think of this Prince Harry lifetime aviation award? I mean, how's this even happened? You know?
Well, it's a paid-for award. He, it's the Kitty Hawk Flight Club or whatever it's called, and he has to pay $30,000 for it, and he then gets a table and he gets an award, and it's not exactly a weighty matter, and it's farcical as well, because I mean the only thing that Harry has flown on his own, because remember, he was a gunner. He wasn't a pilot. He was a gunner, which means that he wasn't actually flying the helicopter. He was taking care of the gun. And the only thing that has been flying high is his ability to speak, shall we say, to invent facts.
OK. We've done a lot of reaching out to Archwell this evening, but we also reached out to Archwell about whether or not this award was paid for. They categorically deny it, but, you know, that's where we are. Thank you very much, both of you. That's Lady Colin, Campbell and Phil Dampier, this evening's Royal Masterminds.